Now I know not everybody likes to colour like I do, so today I'm going to share a really easy technique to add two tones of colour to your images using your solid stamps. And we're going to be making two cards in the process. So let's get started. Hi and welcome. It's time for another Take Two with Therese at Altenew, and I've got the beautiful Builder Flower set. It's the Indian Lotus, and these Builder Flower sets are layering sets, but today I'm only going to be using two parts of the layering stamps. It's the solid image and the outline image. And your friend here today is going to be the Misty, or a stamp positioning tool. Now I've got the solid image of the floral or the flower of the lotus first, and I'm just prepping it with the conditioning eraser just to make sure I get a good impression with my stamping. And to choose my inks, I just refer to my swatch book here, and I thought that it'd be nice to have a really sort of pale lemon colour or a yellow colour, and I chose to use the buttercream. Now by using the Misty tool I can multiple stamp really easily, and I've got a piece of cardstock here. It's some Nina 80-pound cardstock, and it's cut large enough that I can stamp 4 flowers at the same time just by spinning my cardstock around. And I did stamp this flower out 4 times, and then on 2 of the flowers I actually re-stamped the ink a second time, and that just makes it a deeper colour of the buttercream. I love these stamping tools. They make life so easy. When it comes to adding the second colour though, I thought it'd be really nice to have sort of a almost like a pink peachy colour. So what I did was got my book out yet again and had a look at what colours I thought might work well. I ended up choosing to use the frosty pink colour. I thought the peach colour might look a bit too orange. And I knew that the pink would mix really well. You could test this off to the side if you're not sure. But to add that second layer and to get the two-tone stamping, all I simply did was use the ink pad, held it on a bit of a funny angle so that I'm only adding ink to the outside of the stamp. You can do this as many times as you want. If you're not sort of happy with the depth of colour, you can come in and add it again. That's the beauty of the stamp positioning tool. You can also use a soft cloth or something to get a smoother edge in the center, but I find that the ink will actually blend into itself as it dries. You lose a lot of those harsh lines, so don't be too critical when you first do it. Sit back and let the ink do its magic. It's not going to look perfect straight away. As the ink dries, you'll always get a better blend. So I did the same with the leaves. I stamped the leaves initially with the Firefly green ink, and 2 of the leaves I made a bit darker by doing a second layer of stamping on them. And then when it came in for the two-tone effect, I actually came in with the grass field colour, did exactly the same thing. I just sort of held the ink pad on a funny angle. It's almost like that rock and roll stamping that we used to be able to do, but we don't have to worry about relining up the images to make them perfect because we've got the stamping tool. I'm not worrying about contaminating my stamp either because I'm using a darker tone. You can clean it and keep restamping as well, so I'm not having to worry about adding ink at the same time on one stamp, because I know that the stamp's going to be in the same spot each time I restamp. Easy peasy. Okay, lesson over. Let's make a couple of cards. I've got the outline here now, and I am stamping it with some obsidian black ink. A trick that I use to make sure that I've got it lined up exactly is to get a piece of acetate, stamp on the acetate, and then I can always clean that away. Then I know, once I know it's in the right spot, I can come in and use my pigment ink. I've got the obsidian ink here from Altenew, one of my go-to black inks. I just love this ink. And then I can just certainly go back and add the outline to all my images really quickly. I love that about this Misty tool. You can certainly just create a heap of images all at once. I've already got all my products out. Why not make a stack? I did the same with the outline for the Indian Lotus flowers as well. And because this is a builder flower set, it does come with coordinating dies. So I used them and cut out all of my images ready to go. And I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with these cards, and I did try a few different ideas, but I find that when I'm really struggling, it's easier for me to go back to clean and simple. So I grabbed some of the watercolor paper set cardstock, which is actually cut to the same size as an A2 card front. So guesswork's gone. And then I've added some water to the cardstock and picked up some colour. I used the Seashore one from the Artist's Watercolour 24 pan set and just dropped that on top. And to speed up the process here, I did actually come in with my heat tool and use the low speed to dry it. I didn't have time to wait for it to dry naturally, although that's what I prefer to do. I did add a sentiment and one of the graphic shapes from the Crystal Frames stamp set. I think flowers and these graphic shapes look really awesome together. And I stamped them with some obsidian black ink. Now, because this is already the size of the card front, I could easily just attach it to the front of my A2 card, which is a top fold card. And I used some like a 1/2 inch Be Creative tape here because I find with the watercolor cardstock, I don't want it to warp and alter my card shape. So having a nice strong hold on the card base makes me happy. And I've added my leaf using my glue tape and then some of the dimensional foam from Altenew. I actually layered it up a couple of times to add my flower. I wanted that to be popped off the front of the card and have some satin white sequins. So very clean and simple. And this just got me started because I had been struggling with, I haven't made a card in a while. So it was nice to get back and make cards and start putting things together. And sometimes I find if I'm in a bit of a slump and struggling, just get to it, Therese, and put it together and see where it ends up. My second card, what I decided to do was create an embossed sentiment because, you know, white embossing on black cardstock. Let's face it, it goes with everything. I did create another watercolor panel and added it to a card front. I used the rest of the leaves and flowers because why not, and attached them directly to the card front. I almost made it like a lily background. That's what I was aiming for. Lots of lilies, bit of water, green leaves, perfect. I used the glue tape to do that, so there's not a lot of dimension to this card, but I did double up the dimension on the actual sentiment, so that's popped up pretty high. I also added some satin white sequins here and made them in a triangle. I always like, if I'm only going to add an odd number of 3, it's a weird long triangle that I do. So if you're struggling to add sequins or embellies to a card, think of it as an elongated triangle. Hopefully that might work for you too. So today I hope you were inspired to try some two-tone stamping on a solid stamp. These builder flower images are perfect for this. Until next time, bye.